Welcome to the Crazy Hat Chemist. So today we're doing another video, number 27, in electrons and atoms. Bam! So today we're talking about the periodic table and the orbital labels and their location on the periodic table more specifically. Okay, so here we go. So what I want you to do is I want you to pull out your own periodic table. Pause the video here until you find your own periodic table. So pause the video. Pull out your own periodic table, a pencil, some colored markers or something like that, and then now start labeling. So here we go. Bam! So right over here are the S-type orbitals. So notice that it is in group 1 and group 2 of the periodic table, and helium. Notice that helium is far on the right-hand side there. That helium is also an S-type orbital. Okay, so let's do the next one, which is a P-type orbital. The P-type orbital is in this entire block right here, excluding the helium, notice. Okay, now we're going to do the Ds. Here are the D-type orbitals in this block, which are the transition metals. Okay, all right, next one. The F-type orbitals are the inner transition metals. Okay, so you have S, P, D, F. Okay, label those on your periodic table. Now we're going to do a few other labels for these. So the S-type orbitals have an L of 0. P-type orbitals have an L of 1. D-type orbitals have an L of 2. And F-type orbitals have an L of 3. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, S, P, D, F, in that order. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to label the periods. I've done the labeling of the periods on the far left-hand side of the periodic table. These period numbers correspond to S and P only. So S and P only. And this will come into a key role here when we talk about valence electrons and the outermost electrons for elements also. So that's very important. Okay? All right. Notice that the Ds are one less than the period number. So the first D is a 3D and not a 4D. The second D is a 4D, then a 5D, then a 6D. Notice that there's not a 7D, what we have on our periodic table. Okay? So the S and P go with the period. The Ds are one less than the period. Now take a look at the Fs. The Fs are one less than the Ds, or 2 less than the period in which it is in. So the first F is a 4F. That corresponds to the same period as the 5D, which corresponds to the far left-hand period of a 6. Okay? All right. Now, what we got is look at the S-type orbitals again with L of 0. Now it's labeled with 1 orbital. How many electrons at maximum can you fit in an orbital? 2 electrons in an orbital. That's why there's 1 orbital. Okay? Now look at the P's. How many orbitals? 3 orbitals. Because if you look at that whole grouping of where the P's are, if you look at boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon, there are 6 in each of these horizontal rows here. Those 6 horizontal rows correspond to 3 orbitals because 2 electron maximum per orbital. Okay, now look at the Ds. Count the Ds, starting with 21 all the way to 30. And how many you count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and finally 10. So half of 10 would be 5. So that's why there are 5 orbitals. And if you look at the F orbital section there, you're going to find the same pattern here. And you should note this pattern. The SPD is 1, 3, 5. And what's the next number after 5? If you're following the pattern, 1, 3, 5, and 7. That is correct. So that's why there are 14 spaces in the F-type orbitals from element number 58 all the way to element number 71. Okay? Those are the locations of the types of orbitals and the labeling of those types of orbitals that are on the periodic table. This is a very key feature here. Make sure you write that on your periodic table because you're going to be using this frequently. Eventually, you'll just have it memorized because you've used it so frequently. Okay, that was another video. I have another hat for you, although I'm going to take off my glasses so I can fit this hat. I'm not sure if this is a hat or a helmet. Boom! Okay, 247. 247. Hut, hut, hike. All right. So give me a thumbs up if you like that video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you next time for more chemistry.